Hello fellow educators in the new normal. Let me share in this webinar and demonstrate a reading strategy called twin text teaching and approach in reading called reciprocal teaching that will help engage our students in reading at the same time improve their reading comprehension. The twin text strategy that CAM developed is an effective strategy to engage students in reading and increase their comprehension. Research found that when you pair narrative and expository text, you will enhance the comprehension of students. Let me show you how to use the narrative and expository text, the twin text teaching, using the reciprocal teaching. Reciprocal teaching is an effective approach used in many studies to increase reading comprehension through strategy training, described by many authors as an approach that fosters higher order thinking skill and deep understanding by using four strategies such as generating questions, clarifying, summarizing, and making predictions through think aloud to model the active and engage our students in comprehension. Before we read the story Why Dog Wagged Its Tail, a narrative text, you can ask your students to study the list of words. And from this list of words, your students can identify the setting. What is the setting likely to be? The characters, who are the possible characters in the story. The problem, what might some problems be for the main character? The character's goals, what are the goals of the character? Solution, what are the possible solutions to the problem? So after reading this first paragraph of the story, you can now model questioning by asking the question, I wonder why the dog was unable to fight anymore. And then you say, let me go back to the text, and you can show to your students where the answer is found. And after reading the second paragraph, you can now model clarifying to your students by asking them to clarify the word accompany, which is difficult to understand from the text. So by just saying, I did not get the word accompany, so I read again the text to figure out the meaning of the word accompany, because that is unfamiliar to me. So let me read this part of the paragraph where the word accompany is found. So that's the sentence, and you can say that accompany means you are going with someone or you are guiding someone. After reading this third paragraph, you can now ask your students to predict. Okay, of course, model first prediction. What do you predict to happen next? Can you think of your prediction using the frame I think and write it on the prediction chart? I think the cat will not give the magic ring to the dog because it was entrusted by the old man. The next part of the story, we'll find out whether the cat will give the magic ring or not. And then after reading this part of the story, you can now model summarizing by asking the question, what does this part of the story tell us? And then model summarizing, say, this part of the story tells us the loss of the magic ring. And after reading this part of the story, you can now ask your students to summarize what is the story all about. And then we can now use the strategy SWBST strategy to summarize our story. You can teach your students how to summarize using the SWBST strategy. S stands for somebody, who is the main character. W, the goal of the character, but the problem in the story. So the solution to the problem, and then how does the story end? So using this frame in the story, okay, title, blank, the character, somebody, blank, wanted, blank, to, blank, but, blank, so, blank, then, blank. So you can have this summary now. Now we are ready to present an expository text, a science text that explains why dogs wag their tails, written by Joseph Castro. So after reading this text, you can ask your students to ask questions. What questions do you have in mind after reading this part of the text? After reading this paragraph, say, before moving to the next part of the text, ask the students to clarify words such as submissive and aggression, because these are the words that are difficult to understand from this part of the text. You can ask your students to summarize by asking the question, what does this part of the text tell us? To summarize an expository text, we use the strategy TAAMIO. T stands for text, A for author, A action, M main idea, I important details, and O for organization. To give you an example, to summarize an expository text, this is our summary.